my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. In my heart, there's a river flowing in my heart, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart, in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind or soul, or wherever it is. Okay. Please remain standing and join me in the words of our covenant found on our screen. Do we have a covenant out there? There it is. All right. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. Let this be our covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. I am Michael Leuchtenberger, and I get to serve as the settled minister of this caring, this curious, and ever-evolving congregation. It is good to be here. Whoever you are, whoever you love, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. You are welcome
Welcome to worship. So good to be with you this morning, in person and online. My name is Jim Curley, and I am a proud member of this congregation. We are here to support each other on our own and our shared spiritual journeys, centered in love, compassion, curiosity, courage, and joy. I am especially happy to welcome first-time and returning visitors. If you are a visitor, we hope you will find us a community eager to welcome you and respectful of the path that has brought you here this morning. Anyone wearing a colorful floral stole is glad to answer any questions you may have, and there is written information in the pew folders and at the visitors table for you to take. For our online participants, it would be wonderful if you introduced yourselves on the chat so we know you are here with us. Our church buildings are located on traditional homelands of the Pennacook Abenaki peoples, past and present. We acknowledge and honor with gratitude the land and the people who have stewarded it for generations.
For a complete listing of church events and news, check out our weekly e-bulletin or a copy of Parish Notes, our monthly newsletter. here are a few highlights. Today, after the service, please join a sermon dialogue in the parlor, led by Donna Moore, wherever you are. There you are. And there's also a book discussion on the anxious generation in the Ken Thomas room, led by Karen Cox over there. There's a land acknowledgement conversation in the Abenaki room, led by Margaret Fletcher, Edie Daigle, and Pat Hortdorfer. Thank you for that. And chair yoga is canceled today because grandkids are more important than sitting in a chair, apparently. No, that's all good. So no chair yoga today, but lots of other good offerings, including children's programs for kids ages 5 and up. Our Young Explorer program will be in the Armenia White Room, and younger kids are, of course, welcome to join or stay in the Rainbow Room Nursery. And the Vagabond Theater for ages 8 through 17, led by Sin Riley, will be in the chapel. And then at 12:30, all of us get to come together for our free community luncheon in Fellowship Hall. Thank you so much to the worship associates for hosting today's luncheon. Tuesday, all are welcome for weekly welcome table dinner at 6 o'clock, a free conversation-rich meal of plant-based, low-packaging food with gluten-free options. On Wednesday, all are invited to, anyone that needs child safety training, there's a child safety dinner and volunteer play shop in the parlor led by Dory, who unfortunately today is out sick. So if you wondered why is Jim doing the welcome, that's why she let me know that she lost some of the stomach contents this morning, so she was deciding to stay home. Good for her, good for us. All right, and then on Wednesday evening, also at 6:30, is our Power of Myth viewing and discussion series. There's an exciting new offering that starts in the Ken Thomas room this time round, led by Renee West and Susan Casey. If you've been around the Power of Myth, it's a deep conversation by a deep thinker, and so all are welcome to explore the different topics. This will be a series over 6 or 7 weeks, or ongoing, like through several months, I think. Each week, we light our chalice to set this time apart and to mark it as sacred. If you are at home and you have a candle or a chalice ready, I invite you to light it now as Jim lights our chalice here in the sanctuary. Rise up, O flame, thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy. Rise up, O flame, rise up, O flame, by thy light, beauty, vision, and joy. Vision and joy. Oops. Now I can't. Too late. Okay.
That's a good spot. Please repeat after me. It is a blessing to be. It is a blessing to be here. It is a blessing to be here now. And it is a blessing to be here now together.
Our opening words are by the Dalai Lama from his book, An Open Heart. Leaving cyclic existence. Once we finally recognize the suffering state we are in, the all-pervasive suffering that afflictive emotions, the all-pervasive suffering that afflictive emotions such as attachment and anger inflict upon us, we develop a sense of frustration and disgust with our present predicament. This, in turn, nurtures the desire to free ourselves from our present state of mind. When our focus is on others, our wish is to be free, is to free them from their misery. This is compassion. However, only once we have acknowledged our own state of suffering and developed the wish to free ourselves from it, can we have a truly meaningful wish to free others from their misery. Our commitment to liberating ourselves from this mire of cyclic existence must happen before true compassion is possible.
Please rise in body or spirits. Suffering, may we find strength and peace. Once more in unison. Karuna, Karuna, may we be free from suffering. May we find strength and peace. Suffering, may we find strength and peace. Karuna, 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 may we find strength of God and peace. Strength and peace. May we find strength and peace all together. May we find strength and peace. Thank you, Greg Whitson, for writing this beautiful piece. Please be seated. Unless, of course, you're young in age or young at heart and would like to come forward to our Time for All Ages, please come on down. Come on down for Time for All Ages. All right. know what? I'm going to sit here. Did I mention that Dory wasn't feeling well this morning? So I'm jumping in because somebody has to tell the time for all ages, right? That wouldn't be right otherwise. Here we go. Last week we had a fabulous time for all ages, I thought anyway. Anyone remember what that was about? It's a little girl, right, who was called Elle, I think. And what happened when Elle was cleaning up and trying to do a nice thing? She dusted off something. She broke a vase here, right? Oh no, right? The vase fell down, ka-chung, and it went all on the floor. I'm not going to throw it back on the floor, but that was really well done by her, right? Here we go. So, and then she tried to put the pieces back together, right? She tried to fix it. She tried to do all sorts of things, and then at the end of it, however, she kind of realized she was really just trying to do things that her mom really didn't so much appreciate, right? What did her mom ultimately need when she asked her at the end? Anyone remember? Time, right? Her mom said, you know, I really appreciate all the things you're trying to do for me, and so I could really use just a little time. I need to, because this vase was so important to me, right, and to because it was handed down, I think, from her mom to her, right, so this is, and she, you know, the gluing back the pieces together wasn't all that important. She just needed to sit with her grief, her sadness of losing that. And I think at the end, what was this? There was some kind of if you can zoom in just a little bit, Gavin, so folks online can see. This was a picture of who? The grandmother, right, who had given the vase, and so they came up with this beautiful idea. And can you tell me what's showing here? It's a grandmother and children, right? Kissing the grandmother. So that probably is a very happy moment, I would imagine. But we didn't get to see how mad and sad and angry Elle, the little girl, was at herself. She wasn't mad at, her mom, of course, but after the accident occurred. We didn't get to hear the mean words Elle was saying to herself and the stories her imagination was telling. We didn't get to see how Daddy helped Elle remember to find compassion for herself, even amidst this really big event. So we're going to rewind. Can somebody make a rewind sound? Nice, okay. Yeah, the kids probably go, what is that kind of a sound? A tape recorder? We don't remember that. So yeah, on digital media, it just goes push button, boom, it's there. But this is different. All right. So to when Elle is getting ready for bed. I can't believe what a stupid, dumb klutz I am. I'm always making mistakes and breaking things, and now Mommy hates me. Elle's mind was spinning as she got ready for bed, waiting for Mommy and Daddy to come in and say goodnight. She could tell her mom was still really sad about the broken vase. She stomped her foot and feet as she tucked her pajamas down over her head. Ooh, yes, right? And I'm always tripping and falling, and I don't know even how to use my own feet. I'm such a baby. Mommy is never going to want to play with me again. And in her head, she was screaming, but in her room, it came out more like a whimper. Can you do a whimper? Yeah, right? That kind of thing. Elle was sad and scared about what her mom might be thinking, but those sad feelings were turning into some really mean words directed at whom? At herself, right? Have you experienced that before when you've done something you weren't so proud of, right? You start talking to yourself. So what's all this stomping about? Her dad asked as he came in the door. Mommy hates me, Elle whined. I wish I'd never been born. I hate myself. Wow, those are some really big feelings, Elle. And some really mean words you're saying. What do you need right now? I need a new body that isn't so big and so stupid. I'm always making mistakes. At this point, Elle's daddy could see that Elle's brain was starting to make up stories. Elle wasn't always making mistakes. And she made the same amount as anyone else. And her mommy certainly did not hate her. All right, I'm going to pause the story here and invite you to remember that today we are talking about self-compassion. We will hear from Donna a little bit later, some invitations for inviting in kindness. Ben, can you leave that for a moment? Thank you. Kindness, love, and forgiveness for yourself when the mean words in your head start to get really loud. I will simply simplify these as laugh, write a new story, or do something else. Laugh, write a new story, or do something else. So let's listen how Elle's dad helped Elle to do just this. You know who is so big and clumsy? The daddy monster! And he's coming to get you. Oh, yes. Daddy puffed up his chest, put his arms out by his side, and stomped big feet. Can anyone do that? Big feet stomping. Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. And Elle started to giggle just a little bit. Any giggles here? Yes, okay, so good. She loved when her dad played Daddy Monster. I love playing that too with my boys. And, all right, you know, Elle, Mommy could never hate you, he said after a minute. Mommy is just sad. That vase meant a lot to her. No, but she's never going to... Stop right there, Elle. It's time to rewrite that story. I look into your heart and find the truth. Elle was about to say, Mommy's never going to play with me again. But she paused. She looked into her own heart. You look into your own heart, how do we do that? Yeah, feel that heart inside of you, right? Sort of pay a moment of attention. And so instead she said, Mommy is taking some space. She loves me and she will play with me again when she has calmed down. That's right, Elle. And now you know what the only thing left to do is, right? Do something else. And it's bedtime. You should do something else by, how about going to sleep? Yeah. All will feel better in the morning. He kissed her goodnight and left the room. But Daddy was being silly because even though main words in Elle's head were gone, she was still very worried about Mommy's feelings. And every grown-up knows that when something is bothering you, going to sleep is probably the last thing you're going to do. But he must have forgotten. And this is where we find Elle tiptoeing out of bed. Can you tiptoe around a little bit? Yeah, tiptoeing around. There we go. To get the vase from underneath the sink to replace the one she broke. Mommy will be so happy. Okay, where's that new vase? Here, that's the vase, right, that she got. The other vase. Compassion isn't just for other people. In fact, the only way to give compassion away is to make sure that we have some for ourselves first. We say that together. The only way to give compassion away is to make sure we have some for ourselves first. So that is our story for today, sort of part 2 to a story we heard last week. So I invite the front folks here to rise in body and spirit as we sing you to your classroom or to your time outside. May our minds be open to new lips bring truth into the world. May our hearts know love and our hands do the work of justice as we go our way in peace, as we go our way in peace. May our minds be open to new learning. May our lips bring truth into the world. May our hearts know love and our hands do the work of justice as we go our way in peace, as we go our way in peace. We now turn to the joys and the sorrows we carry individually and as a community. Will you take a breath with me? As we surrender to this moment, let us notice our body resting, grounded, supported by the earth. And as the piano begins to play, you're invited to come forward, light a candle, or place a stone at a table to your right, or add a note to the Holding Our Grief wheel. And if you wish, come to the microphone, tell us your name, and share briefly from your heart so the congregation can hold you in love.
My name's Anna, and I have a joy. I'm 40 today.
Oh, wow. Dear Anna,
My name is Larry, and on Tuesday in the village of Maliu in Papua New Guinea, my Papua New Guinea brother will be laid to rest. It's just now becoming a reality, and I can't be there. It's just too far. But he was one of those magical people that all he had to do was come into a space, and everyone felt good. The world will miss him terribly.
My name is Jim, and after a very sudden illness, my 12-year-old greyhound, Jasper, passed away yesterday. And it is difficult.
I'm Heidi, and I have a joy to share. My son Christian, who's been dealing with glioblastoma, he is now in 19 months survival, and his MRI on Monday showed that the tumor is shrinking. So, very happy.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kitty Hoke. I have a joy. I have a grandson who's at the University of Chicago, and he chose to run a marathon to raise money for the parks in Chicago so that volunteers had tools to make them nice. And he appreciates so much the path that he runs for 22 miles along the edge of the lake that's maintained by the city. And as we speak, he is in the middle of the marathon.
This isn't easy. My name is Kits, and I very recently suffered some very difficult times with a family member who has dementia. Dementia is a terrible disease. There are many, many forms of it. And my statement is one of hope. Hope that I will continue to learn more patience and more empathy and more compassion for everyone who suffers from this terrible disease.
My name is Bianca, and I have a joy that I've been wanting to share with you all for a long time, but it's taken me ages to grow the courage. My perpetual, lasting, and ever-growing joy is you all. I started coming here 7 years ago this month when my daughter was still a newborn because we were looking for a community. And as we've continued to grow in this space and be so welcomed, and this is our home away from home, and watching my children with the people here and how you all have really embraced my children and been our support and our village, it's just been such a beautiful joy, and I wanted to share with all of you that impact that that's had on my family.
My name is Jessie, and if you are a parent, you know you're only as happy as your least happy child. And both my children are happy, and my grandkids are happy, so I'm happy, and I'm retired, so I'm really happy.
Happiness all. So I invite Bob now to light one more candle on behalf of those who are not here with us today or who chose to remain seated. Whether your joys or sorrows have been named or remain in the silence of your heart, know that you are not alone. May we hold our earth in our hearts with joy in our nature, in awe of her majesty and power and resilience, taking responsibility for the hurts that we have caused her. Will you take another breath with me? This week we hold in love Melissa Bennett, Dot Young, and Amanda St. John and family. Please join me now in our musical meditation number 1006 in our teal hymnals, In My Quiet Sorrow.
Good morning. I sat by the bedside of my mother. She was sleeping. And after a while, she woke up. And she looked up, and her eyes were brimming, were overflowing with love. She did not speak a word, but her eyes said, "I love you. It's you. It's you." Now, my mother was a very reserved person. At this point, she was deep in the savages of dementia, which have already been mentioned. And so this was a particularly special moment for me because it was the only time I really felt that direct transmission of love from her. So today I want to share with you I'm kind of shaking here, I'll try this way. I want to share with you a practice, which I do every day. And the thing about a practice, it's just like Carnegie Hall. If you find that this resonates at all for you, I invite you to practice it a few more times and see if it really enhances your life the way it has enhanced mine. It has helped me melt my own reserve towards myself, which, as has already been mentioned, enables me to melt my reserve towards other people and to be the loving person I aspire to be. So this is a practice where you use your imagination. We all have an imagination. And you can have your eyes open or closed. But the first thing I'm going to ask you to do, or invite you to do, is just feel your body. Just feel the weight of your body sitting here. Most people are sitting or standing. And just bring yourself to an awareness of, here I am in this beautiful body. And now I'm going to invite you to invite someone into your mind's eye, someone who makes you feel, or a moment that makes you feel warm, loved, and seen. Now, it could be just sitting here this morning. It could be a special moment when a child was born. It could be the cutest puppy you ever saw. It could be the smell of chocolate chip cookies. But something that enables you to drop into a sense of feeling deep love and warmth. So just take a moment and see what comes to you. If you need to go looking for something, go looking for it, because you've got something. And now I invite you to bring up the feelings that this person, place, thing evokes in you. And imagine you're feeling that right now. That warming of your heart, your soul, every cell of your being. Just allow yourself to feel that feeling that you felt in the past. Maybe it's a ray of sun. Maybe it's a warm, silky feeling. Maybe it's the wind through your hair. However you feel it, allow yourself that feeling. And now I invite you to release your gentle focus on this moment and come back to your body, the weight of your body here, all of your friends surrounding you. If you want, you can look around a little bit. A lot of loving critters here. And know that, as Michael said in the story, we're always telling ourselves stories, and this is a story you can tell yourself. And I'd be happy to talk to anyone about this practice if you have any questions. So thank you. May it be of benefit to you.
Come on forward, choir.
May I be filled with joyful, loving kindness. May I be calm and at peace. May I be safe. May happiness surprise me. May I be awake and free. May you be filled with joyful, loving kindness. May you be calm and at peace. May you be safe. May happiness surprise you. May you be awake and free. May we be filled with joyful, loving kindness. May we be calm and at peace. May we be safe. May happiness surprise us. May we
Good morning. I'm Donna Moore, a retired psychotherapist with 37 years of experience in Concord. If what you heard was tired, which way? This way? If you heard tired, that's probably true too. I'd like to share some thoughts this morning about self-compassion, some that have already been shared today in this beautiful service, with the hope that you will take two things away today, two things that will help you in taking care of yourself. First of all, if you could just close your eyes for a moment and imagine a room full of your compassion. And just let me know when you have it. Just raise your hand when you feel like you have it. Now imagine that you can divide that room exactly in half and keep half of that compassion for yourself. So what keeps you from doing that? What are the roadblocks? Just think about that for a moment, and we'll have a chance to discuss it in the sermon dialogue if you choose to come today. Rumi said that self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. This would have been a good message for me in my workaholic days. This is a lesson that was not taught well to some of us, especially back in the 50s. My mother raised 6 children. She always put herself last, and I, being the oldest daughter, would therefore be next to last. When she was in the hospital after having brain surgery, when she had lung cancer that went from her lungs to her brain, she actually prided herself. Where's kids? Where's kids? She actually prided herself in not using the nurse's call button once while she was in the hospital. And then I showed up. One day we took her home on a pass from the hospital, and when we returned, she was sort of skipping back to her room. And I said, "Mom, what's up with this? You're happy to be back in the hospital?" And she said, "I'll show you." And she showed me that in her room, she had her toothbrush in the bathroom, and she had her teddy bear all set up that I brought her from New Hampshire. She had a space for herself. Self-compassion might be about that, about knowing that you need that space and claiming it for yourself. I guess that's just emotional, just remembering my mom. In Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, he actually teaches us how to let go of the stories and the chatter in our head and to change the story, how to create, like it's been mentioned this morning, how to create a new story, how to free ourselves from the script we've been so conditioned to repeat over and over and over again in our heads, to re-story. So how many of you have an inner critic? So you can stay. You know, it's interesting, the stories that we tell ourselves. One time, early in our relationship, my husband, Rob, didn't answer his phone for a while. And I said to myself, what if our relationship's over? What if he's mad at me? What if blah, blah, blah? And when I saw him, I asked him, why didn't you answer the phone? I called you over and over and over again. He said, "Oh, well, I had the phone on the passenger seat in the car, and I had the radio turned up, and I was singing." So now, anytime he doesn't answer his phone, I think, he must be singing. So the stories that we tell ourselves can be so scary sometimes. Now, Einstein said that the most important question is the universe a friendly place? It's kind of interesting to look around at people sometimes and think, I bet that person's universe is not a friendly place. Even in this room, I might be able to guess about that. So, but it's interesting that the power of a community like this, that we can actually help people change their mind about that we can say, perhaps this universe, like Bianca said this morning, that this place is a friendly place, and change somebody's mind about the experience of their world. But since none of us had a perfect childhood, anybody here have a perfect childhood? Nope. Well, we're all a little bit narcissistically wounded. Now, that doesn't mean pathological narcissism. It just means a little bit narcissistically wounded. And Colette Dowling in Perfect Women explains this very well. She explained it in a way that I really got for the first time. She says that when somebody is narcissistically wounded or has narcissistic traits, they have a superiority, inferiority defense, like this. Now, this is pretty normal because most of us are hurt in some way. But if somebody's really, 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 really wounded narcissistically and they're under a whole lot of stress, guess what happens to this? Yeah, that's right, Betsy. It goes like this. They get more superiority, more inferior, scum of the earth kind of feelings. So the healing is to be in what I call your one amongness in the world, your one amongness in the community. You know, I thought that was beautiful when Bianca acknowledged her one amongness here in this community this morning. So my point this morning is that self-compassion comes more from your one amongness. You can't really relate to people if you're up here or if you're down here. And so the healing comes into this place in your one amongness. Doesn't it sound kind of Japanese a little bit? In your one amongness in the universe and in this world. Does that seem pretty clear? Yes. Good, because that's one of the best things I can tell you. Because if you can learn, when we're in our one amongness, then it's okay to make a mistake, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to feel maybe I don't belong here or whatever. It's all our human vulnerable feelings allowing to connect with other people's human and vulnerable feelings. Now, have you ever had a $100 reaction to a nickel event? We all have. Sometimes that leads to more regret, more self-admonishment. Actually, if that's happening, perhaps it's time to turn up the self-compassion. You know, like, what's going on here? Why did I overreact to that teller that was just going too slow? You know, what's happening with me right now? So I think self-compassion might mean saying, I need a hug, or I need a nap, or I need some space, or I really overreacted to that person this morning. Can we just talk for 20 minutes? And that happens a lot, actually, in this community, because it's been created. Spaces for that have been created here. So back to the roadblocks. I'm sure you thought of some in your mind. There are ways to challenge that part of you, that inner critic part of you that makes self-compassion feel impossible. The shoulda, woulda, couldas. You have some of those? Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I could depress myself in about 30 seconds if I thought about the fact that I forgot to have children. My goodness. And look at all these grandmothers out here. Instead, I can focus on what I do have. I can have what I have in this moment. And that is you. That is this. Because everything that I've I've done everything I could to create a path for myself that led right to this moment. And when I appreciate this moment, that's where self-compassion comes from. Like, what do I have? So we all live in a perception box of our own making. We're all a little bit crazy, you know? We're all a little bit neurotic. If you think of neurotic as anything that blocks your joy, you know, we don't obsess on the positive things about ourselves, do we? But wouldn't that be nice if we got up in the morning and said, oh, I love this about myself? Another example I have is that when I was in my early 20s, when I was in Mississippi, I used to go to Baptist churches, actually. And I used to go into a church, and I would walk into the church and actually convince myself that I had no right to sit in the front of the church. I wasn't good enough. It's interesting that we create stories like that in our minds. So let's talk about ways to deal with that inner critic. Now, the first one is sarcasm. Now, this is the way that would go about that inner critic. Yeah, right, Donna. There's a gauge at the door, and it tells them which level of goodness people have, and the good ones sit in the front and the bad ones sit in the back. Now, we know that that's not true. I thought you'd laugh at that. Good. But sometimes humor can help. When you're saying something ridiculous to yourself, you know, like Elle did in the story that Michael told, you know, that how we exaggerate, we do these global attributions about things that are just not true. You know, like, I've never fit in, I've never been good enough, blah, 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 blah. So when you think about Viktor Frankl's work in Man's Search for Meaning and how he actually showed us how to find meaning in life, even when he was in a concentration camp, you know, it's also important to not tell a story in your mind that has to do with being a victim, because what happens with victims is it's a disempowering state of mind. So there are ways to change the story. So changing the story is one of the hints that I have for you today. In the placebo effect by Joe Dispenza, he talks about people who, and this is extreme, but he talks about people who thought they were dying of cancer, and actually they weren't, but then they did because they thought they were. So the stories can get, the beliefs in the stories can get very deep. And there are people who talk themselves into wellness because that's what they expect from life. Okay, so another way to deal with this pesky little inner critic that you've identified today, you might want to name him or her, actually, is to turn the volume down on its voice. It might always be there, but you can say, hey, yeah, I hear you. Why don't you go in the other room and eat popcorn? I'm busy right now. You can watch a movie. Because usually the inner critic is a lot younger than we are, because it started at a time in our lives that was much earlier. And it's been conditioned to just nag you to death. So one of the problems that we have is we believe those thoughts in our heads. You know, we think that because we thought it, it must be true. We know some other people that think that too, don't we? But if you disengage the self-critical hammer, you know, if you have that self-critical hammer happening, then your head's on spin all the time. And the truth is that we're all looking for validation and connection. You know, it's really nice that we have some people in the room that are smiling at me. If I walk up to you and I'm looking for validation and connection and you're fighting with your inner critic in your head, then I'm going to think, oh, nobody's home there, the light's not on, I'll go somewhere else. And then we invalidate each other. It's a missed opportunity. So if I befriend this part of myself, this silly little pesky inner critic of myself that echoes the nasty things I've been told that sometimes in my life, then I can fill up my own cup so I can offer you some also. Self-compassion leads to the opportunity to connect. And then, through our humanity and our vulnerability and our gentleness with ourselves, we form that connection. Now, Loretta LaRoche, a long time ago, came to the Capitol Center for the Arts, and she told a story that I never forgot, and it was probably 25 years ago. She said that her 4-year-old granddaughter comes running in the room and says, "Ta-da!" So when's the last time you did that? Sorry, how about just trying it right now? Ready? Ta-da! Didn't that feel good? We forget to fully arrive, or we talk ourselves into not arriving. Like, I can't have those people over for pizza. I didn't wash the bathroom floor. Or, I can't go to that wedding. I've gained 10 pounds. What will people think? Well, what they'll think is you didn't show up. We're at a time in life when connection and presence and community and full possibility thinking is more important than it has ever been. And if we don't have self-compassion, we're not going to do the part that we can do. We're not going to have the self-forgiveness to be able to do what we can do. Pema Chodron says that self-compassion is the key foundation for extending kindness to others. And she says we have to encourage a gentle, clear, and compassionate look at ourselves, including the suffering and the fears. So it's not like pretending that everything's hunky-dory. It's just being there, giving yourself space to be who you are and loving that inner child part of yourself. You know, it shouldn't take as much therapy as it does to suggest that. And that's why I'm here today. And like Jean Ann, where's Jean Ann? Like Jean Ann Whittington has taught us, that spiritual reparenting is possible. But you can love and in a kind and disciplined way with that inner child. It's just about not being mean to her or him anymore. It's just a little kid, you know, so you can be gentle. And I think Jean Ann's kindness workshop really showed us that. Now, Eckhart Tolle in The Power of Now talks about freeing ourselves from the power of our minds. We don't, like I said before, we don't have to believe all our thoughts. That's the crazy part. Believing the thoughts that we can change. Believing the perceptions that we can change. Now, Buddha said when you have a hot coal and you're ready to throw it at someone, who does it burn? Yeah, kind of an interesting question. And because we teach people how to treat us, we can give off a different vibe that says, no, that's not the way I want to be treated. And that's where boundaries come from. You can only love to the level that you love yourself. It really is as simple as that. I can't give love that I have not cultivated in myself. I had a clinical supervisor once that told me, hey, Donna, it's not any of your business what other people think of you. Oh. And he said, to think about, it's not your job to like me, it's my job to like me. No, up, and the other way. The other way. Yeah, down. Okay. Now let me talk to anyone in this room that's thinking, Yeah, Donna, that's easy for you to say. You haven't lived my life. You haven't had my challenges or my abuses or my losses. True. But what I do know is that self-compassion for all of us is the beginning of the healing process. When we manage to be compassionate with ourselves, we extend that to the people around us. You can say, I made a mistake. I'm not a mistake. You can say, I made a D on a paper. I lost a job, but that's not really about me. I'll do better next time. That's the type of self-talk that we want to teach our children, just to do better next time and to forgive yourself, like in Michael's story or Dory's story about Al. Now, Jane Goodall, who just died recently, she said, you can't get through a single day without having an impact on the world. So you have an impact if you do something or if you don't do something. You're still having an impact on the world because you are important. So think about changing the story that you tell yourself. Think about befriending that pesky little inner critic. Name it, love it, hug it. Her or him. Think about, if you can, your one amongness in the world and in this community. And think about, just like that little girl in Loretta LaRoche's story, just showing up. So ready? Ta-da! Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you for your generous support of last week's outreach offering to support our Pastoral Support Fund. Today's outreach offering collection will support our UU Friends of Refugee program, whose mission is to welcome and assist refugees in the Concord area. Your contributions are an important gift of welcoming, steadfast support for many refugee friends and neighbors. To date, 17 circles of support have been formed, bringing together groups of congregants with a refugee family. Can I see a show of hands? Who's been involved in one form or another in refugee circles or work with refugees? So yay to all of you. Thank you. To date, I already said that services to refugees is one of our church's 3 outreach priorities, along with homelessness and living in harmony with the earth. Our morning offering will now be gratefully received. Beautifully done. Wow, did they ever come down, didn't they? Ta-da, yes. Absolutely. Wow, wow, wow. Well, I heard Gavin practice this before, but I think he's still got a leg up on you. So, may we be transformed by our giving. May the world be transformed by our gifts. Please rise in body of spirit and join me for our closing hymn number 118 in our gray hymnals, This Little Light of Mine. Little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Whoa, 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 this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Whoa, 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 everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Building up a world, building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Whoa, 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 building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Building up a world. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Woo! Go out into the world in peace. Honor one another. Listen with an open heart. Stay curious. Have courage. Be kind and compassionate. Embrace the mystery. Welcome awe. And live always the way of love. I now invite you to extinguish your chalice at home as Jim comes forward to extinguish our chalice here in the sanctuary. Oops, wrong direction. Please join me in the words found on your screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of this faith we share, the warmth of community or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now please join me in singing our unison benediction, and if you're comfortable joining hands or elbows, go ahead and reach out, and if not, reach out with your heart to all of us worshiping with you, knowing that you are not alone. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. Let us go in peace, and let our service continue.
Thank you.